Okay, sit down and watch me draw Skeletor. You're gonna learn so much. All right, I'm gonna talk you through it as I'm doing it. So let's get started. Gonna draw Skeletor from He-Man. One of the cooler, funner villains, I would say, in kind of TV history. They had the trailer to the He-Man movie, and this is kind of preferable to kind of draw it. Basically, Skeletor is a skull. There was this He-Man movie from the 1980s, and Skeletor did not look like that. Skeletor looked more like he had a plastic bag on his face. It was weird, like a Halloween outfit. This time, Skeletor has actual, skull face in the movie. So pretty much, I'm thinking of like the structure of skulls, but adding a little bit of impossibility to it because the skull doesn't move. But what I'm doing here is I'm putting down, right, these kind of expressions. So he's like gritting his eyes, even though he can't really move that, right? A skull wouldn't be able to do that. But going in, having fun, using this brush pen over here. If you want to know where to get it, I'll put it in the first comment, the pinned comment. Go check it out. You can pick it up. Gives it this really interesting look, and that's why I love using the brush pen. Brush pens in general, they are probably one of the, like I said, it's I know understand people are afraid of them because when you put something down, it won't come out. But doing this sort of stuff is going to make you a lot better just by using a tool that you can't erase. So I really kind of advise everybody to kind of do that. Use a pen, use any sort of ink. And what happens in here is you're going to, your brain basically is gradually going to learn that it cannot erase when it wants to. And that is huge, right? Because then when you go back to pencil, we got top of our face here in there, and it's pulling down. So when you go back to pencil, you're like, whoa, this is so easy. Like, what's going on, So that is pretty much something that you should focus on. Let's pull this here a little bit. I want to make him angry looking. He doesn't look as angry. You got to angle kind of the stuff. I'm going a little bit too anatomically correct. So I'm trying to make him a little bit more angry, the way muscles would like flex and curve in. Alright. Right around here, pulling up. It's funny too. I remember on one of my YouTube channels, there's several YouTube channels, and one of them, the Skeletor drawing did really well. So thinking it's going to be very similar here. Now, so something I want to talk to you about is I want to talk to you about motivating yourself to draw as well. I think it can be very, very tough. I notice some people have issues with it, and I think I'm going to pull drapery down right here, the cloth over his head. Over here. So try to think about why you got into drawing in the first place, right? What was it that lured you into it, right? Was it that you wanted a skill? Was it that you wanted to create like what you wanted, right? You wanted to create worlds and stuff like that that you made by hand, not, like some AI stuff, like, where you can, if you know how to draw, you can like really kind of control any aspect of what you're doing. Is that why? Because I understand with AI, I've used a lot of AI around here, like I've played with it, and there's a lot of limitations in terms of what you can do, creatively at least. Is that the reason why? That maybe if you use both and you're artistic, you can do that, or you just want to have something that will ease your mind, make you feel like you left something there, right? I know some people are like, they want to leave their fingerprint on existence. And by doing that, they create something. It's like, yo, I was here, I left this. Right? That can be pretty cool. Find out what it is that kind of motivates you. And I'll be honest, motivation and inspiration is like jumping from lily pad to lily pad, right? You jump on that lily pad on the water, and it's gonna sink eventually. And then you gotta find another one, right? And you go to that one, you go to another one, and that's the way usually motivation can work. Like whatever emotional feeling you had for one thing will maybe move and change in a way that you're like, oh, okay, that doesn't do it for me anymore, or I'm used to that, right? It doesn't hit you a certain way like it used to. So it's up to you to find your next lily pad, right? Where you're going to jump off to. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll tell you, like, I would say something that is very valuable, and I'm going to tell you this. The cloth over the head right here. I'll tell you this. I would say just motivation can show up, but I would say don't chase motivation in general. I think the easiest way for me to be mildly motivated and to kind of get myself a little bit more excited than I normally do is to look at other people's art and go, hey, I can do that, or I want to do that, or I want to be able to do that. That's kind of the easiest way for me. Drapery down here, hanging down. So that's the way it is for me personally. Would be to just look at other people's art. You can scroll art on Instagram, or honestly, truthfully, that's why I buy so many art books, because I have them to kind of look through, and it's just a really cool experience to look through stuff, especially like, because again, there's so much AI junk, right? Sometimes it pollutes the feed. You can kind of look through stuff that is not AI, like in books like that were, before pre-AI. I love doing that. I think I'm going to vignette that as well. I think, yeah, I'm probably not going to go that much detail over here. He has like a circle with these kind of bone, like crossbones over here on his chest, but I'm not going to go that hard on them. I'm going to go mostly into the face, right there. And you really can't see, like, where his neck is, which is funny. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to throw in little lines, kind of cross-hatching lines, but not full-blown cross-hatching. And I'm going to actually just try to... the point is to kind of give a message to the viewer of what's going on. Right? The more information you put in, the more what you're doing is you're telling the viewer what is happening and what that is. You're giving information. So if I draw a line over here, I'm giving information that there's like a little bit of wrinkles here at the skull, right? There's a fold, there's a line, right? There's a dimension going on. Going back, I would work more on building habits than your motivation. So, what is that? Meaning I get up, when I have a little bit of extra time, I don't just rest. I kind of start drawing, right? And maybe it takes a second, like you start thinking of excuses not to draw, and you're thinking, you know what? I don't need to draw right now. I don't need to draw right now, right? I don't have time. I don't have the energy or any of that. So all those excuses, right, will just pop up, and they could be legitimate, right? They absolutely could totally be legitimate excuses. But regardless of them being legitimate or not, pick up a sketchbook, get a picture of something or whatever you want, and just doodle. Put a timer for like 20 minutes. Doodle. Regardless of being tired, whatever. I mean, tired, come on, you're not going to the gym and running around, right? You are just sitting there. I know it's mental energy, but just do something that doesn't take as much mental energy. And you do it again, right, the next day. Do it like 5 days a week. What you're gonna find is that that resistance to that change is gonna go. It's gonna get a little easier. You're not gonna pay attention to it as much. Then it's gonna get super easy. Then you don't even have to remind yourself. You just do it here and there, and then you kind of forget you do it. And then at that point, it's become a habit, right? It's become a habit, and it's just something you do without really thinking about it. You don't have to remind yourself. You don't have to motivate yourself. You don't have to push yourself. And that is so much more important than motivation, right? That's what people do when they're working in art, working in writing, working in a field, that creative field. It's not about motivation to kind of get you to do it. Motivation can kind of spur you on and can be a fun little tool, but realistically, you're just creating a habitual, I don't say identity, but a habitual behavior that you do with very little change. And very little change. Very little effort. And then you don't have that decision fatigue. You don't have that mental tiredness to just make yourself do it. So try that out. Try it to make it a habit. It's incredibly valuable to try to make that a habit and not just continue with like, oh, I'm not motivated, or I don't have any motivation, or I don't have any inspiration. I don't know. That's an excuse. That's what people who are bad at art say. Those are people that will never be good at anything, right? Those people will not get good at stuff. If it's always going to rely on motivation, you're never really going to get around to. You're never going to get good. If you let's say you draw once every like 2 months, or once every month, or once every 3 weeks, you're not going to get good. You got to draw like every couple of days. You got to draw like every couple of days, and then that's where you're going to start seeing improvement. You're going to start getting better by leaps and bounds, right? And that's really what getting better at anything is, because whether you're playing piano, whether you're learning a new language, it's going to be the same process that I'm talking about right here. You go through it. You kind of push through it for a bit, but it becomes easier over time. And I wouldn't say like if you're pushing through it like nonstop, maybe this isn't for you, right? Like if you're doing this for like a year and you're pushing through nonstop, refocus. Maybe it's not your thing, but honestly, I don't think so. I think it's everybody's thing. I really do. Who wants to do it? I never say like give up or any of that stuff. Like really, it's about knowing who you are and knowing yourself. And I hope that you kind of take that to heart. Anyways, that's pretty much it. That's a quick Skeletor. Hopefully you liked it. Share the video, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so that was amazing. You finished this lesson, but keep it going. Keep the art practice going by clicking this video right here. It's going to be within the same theme, and you want to keep it rolling to get better and better and better and get that art flow going. So click right here.